Hi guys, welcome back to another GGF video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at the Thermaltake Premium Riing RGB fans. Now we have a 3-pack here, the 120mm version. They do come in a 140mm version as well. So the main difference between the new Premium RGB Riing fans to the original ones is that they come with a new controller. So whereas the old one came with this kind of large chunky controller which had to be all operated manually, you had to either stick this in the case somewhere you could access, because if you needed to change the modes you had to physically press these buttons. Now the whole advantage of these new ones is the controller is much smaller, and once you install these you don't need to use the controller again, simply because it's all USB controlled. So you hook it up to an internal USB header and then you can install the software and you can do everything from there. So you can change individual fans, you can change them all, you can change the different performance modes, you can make profiles, all things like that. And it even makes it easier to link another controller as well, and you can control more than the 3 fans together. So what we'll do is we'll jump in, we'll check out some of the specs. I'm going to fire these up. I'm not going to put them in a system, I'm just going to put them out on the table so we can see them. Try and have the software running on the screen as well so you can see. I'm just going to run them off my laptop because the controller does use a micro USB to your internal USB header. So what I can just do is use like a phone cable and plug it into my laptop just to show you how the software works and how it interacts with these fans. Okay, now spec wise with these, as I said before, they're 120 by 120 by 25 millimeters. That's a standard size for a 12 centimeter fan. They run on 12 volts, of course. Fan speed is from 500 to 1400 RPM. Now the max static pressure, which you'll probably be interested, is 1.113 millimeter H2O. Now comparing this to something like a high performance fan from say EK or Noctua, you're going to be looking at about double for the static pressure from an EK or sort of a performance fan. Now these fans aren't meant to be the bee's knees when it comes to the high performance radiator fan. For what they're aimed for the general purpose, but bear in mind you can still use them on your radiators. Just remember, they're not going to give you the ultimate performance of like an EK or a Noctua fan. But in saying that, it doesn't mean these are going to be half as good. Between a really high static pressure fan to a medium static pressure fan, you're only looking at a couple degrees difference, so just bear in mind with that. Max airflow, you're looking at just under 50 CFM, you got 48 CFM for those. Noise level is reasonably quiet at 24.8 decibels, that's relatively quiet for around 50 CFM. Bearing type is a hydraulic bearing. The interface is USB 2, of course, 9-pin for the internal connector, and system compatibility is from 7, 8, 8.1 all the way to 10, so that's pretty sweet. Okay, now taking a look at what's inside the box, it is a relatively small box. It is all jammed in. Bear in mind, I have had these items out before just to make sure everything was all there and do a test run. So we've got the little controller box there. You can see it is actually quite small. Now there are some dip switches on the back. This is to assign the number of the controller you've got. So if you've got quite a few controllers, you need to set these all to a different assignment number. Now that's pretty cool. We've got the standard power cable, so that just plugs into Molex. Probably would have been nice if it went into SATA, because I think a lot of people are moving to sort of SATA these days. We have the bridge cable. This will bridge more than one together. And then we have the sort of data sort of controller cable, which goes into your standard onboard internal USB 2.0, and then that just goes off to the controller. All right, now that's it for the cables. We also have your quick little instruction guide there, and as you can see, it tells you assigning all the different numbers for each controller. On the back, it just gives you a run through on how to connect it together and then installing the software. Very, very basic. And then we just got all your warranty information, which is pretty much standard with Thermaltake there. Now we just got your screws. They're in packs of 3 packs all up, 1 lot for each fan. So it is nice how they've divided that. You've got 3 fans and you know that one set is for each fan. We've got long radiator screws, and then we have short screws for going that screw into the fan. And then one of the packets just has Velcro for attaching this onto sort of inside your case somewhere. Now looking at the fans themselves, we'll notice that Thermaltake have slightly changed this from the previous ones. We now have the new logo, which I think looks pretty sweet. It does look kind of funky when it is spinning. The actual fan blades are different as well now. They've got this little sort of divot in them, or a dog leg. I'm not sure how that will go for performance or noise. I can only assume that they have made an improvement with the noise because the decibel is quite low for this fan. And then we got the back of the fan there, and pretty much apart from that, it looks like the standard ring fan. And then you got the cable there. I'll have a look at the cable length just to see. Okay, so that cable length is quite long. You're probably looking at about 600, 700s or 70 centimeters for that. 700 millimeters. That is a very long fan. And the fact that you're not all running these back to say your motherboard or anything, you can run these all back to the controller, so I can't imagine you running out of room or length for these fans, so that is pretty good. All right, what we'll do now is we'll hook these up and we'll install the software and we'll see how they go. Now just quickly running through getting everything up and going, there's only about 3 main steps you need to do. We've already plugged our power to the controller into our Molex. Now you just need to simply plug this into the controller itself. Now these are all keyed, they can only go in one port in one way. Now we just grab our USB cable. I've already plugged it into a free header, a USB 2.0 header on the motherboard. Now you just simply plug this one in here like that. Now we need to grab the fans and we can just plug them in. These are also keyed and they just go in like that. Now this port here, which is spare, that's for your bridge cable. So what you do, you'd plug the bridge cable on here if you're running a second controller, and this one goes into the other end on the controller, and then you just plug the rest of the fans on there and then you are ready to go. All right, now we've got our fans up and running. As you can see, all 3 there, and we've also got the software installed. Very easy to install. Just download it off the Thermaltake website, install it, and then it just starts running. No worries at all. You don't even need to have the controller plugged in for it to detect. It'll just install. Now as you can see, very easy interface. Along the top we have our different controllers. We've just got one installed, so we just get our one controller there. We have our different profiles. You can have them different settings, different modes. If you've got one for gaming, things like that. Now that's really nice. You can save those. The only thing you can't do is you can't rename the profiles. But I guess a good thing with this is Thermaltake can just release an update where you could like right click and rename this to say like silent gaming, high-end gaming, something like that, or overclock settings, things like that. Now we've got our fan 1, 2, 3. Now I've got these set up here as right to left, so right is fan 1. I think, yep, the middle fan is fan 2, and then the end one is fan 3. So pretty much on the fly changing. As you can see, as I'm moving this around, it's literally instant. I really wasn't expecting it to be so good. And another little feature I like over the side here, you see how they're all changing by their own? You've got this little option here. It's not on the first one, it's only on the second and third, where it just mimics the same as fan 1. So it's like a clone setting. So whatever you have fan 2 set to, these ones will clone it. So that is a nice feature as well. And then of course we'll just start working our way around from the top down to the bottom. So we've got performance mode. This will set everything to max performance of the fan. We've got silent mode. It simply puts it down to its lowest setting. Now I like this, you don't have to save after every single thing. I've had things before like mice and other devices where you simply have to save every time you make a change. Now this you don't. You can see the RPM has gone all the way down to 400. Now I literally cannot hear the fans. I'll just put them all down to silent and they'll all slowly go down. Yep, 12, 12. I can hear them going down. It's probably just waiting to, yeah, they're slowly going down. So you've also got Pwm mode. Now that's a new mode they've introduced with the updated software. So if you do want to control it via your motherboard, you can, and they all support that. Now if we just go back up to performance mode, they'll just all ramp back up. Now we've also got, of course, light off or on. I find that a nice feature. Simply if you're going to bed at night and you have this in your bedroom, you can turn them all off. We've got RGB. Now these will just cycle through. The only thing I didn't really like is if you sync these ones to the first one that's in RGB mode, it doesn't pick up where the first one is in its rotation of the colors. So you can see if we turn these all off RGB mode, put these at blue, put this one at red. Now we start RGB mode in the first one here. Now we can see that's, we'll do it when it gets to say green. So that's green. If I sync this one, see it's in RGB mode, the middle one, but it hasn't picked up at the green where this one was at. So it'd be good to try and have them all in the same sort of the pattern together, because if you have 6 of these in your system, you're not going to have them all syncing at the same time. Like, you can sync the colors, no worries at all. If I have this one at say yellow, I can sync these no worries, that works fine. Well, that's like a weird color, but yeah, I can sync them all, no worries. It's just when they're in the RGB cycle, you can't sync them. I can go blink. Let's see if the blink, yeah, see, even the blink doesn't sync right. So if they can get it so the blink and the RGB cycle could sync right, that'll be sweet. Unless this is something you want, they're all randomly going off in different patterns. But I guess it'd be good to have an option to have it like this and in sync. I guess they could just do a tick box to say sync pattern, and it'd be pretty sweet if they could have some other patterns, like maybe like your RGB LED strips, you can have all funky modes. Maybe they can have like a pop out thing on the side that has like lighting modes, and you can have some crazy patterns. That would be pretty sweet. And then of course down the bottom we have the LED brightness. So let's see if this will pick it up on the camera. I'll go sort of halfway, and yeah, it's kind of hard to pick up on the camera, but if I go all the way to the end, yeah, it does take it down a bit, but it's hard to get that to come out on the camera. There we go. That's really dull. That's really dull there now, so it does work. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this software. Really basic, nothing too complex about it, and different profiles just like that, just works on the fly, easy as. Don't have to really, you just have to save it once to save that profile to lock it in. So if you make a change, you have to hit save, because if you don't hit save and go back, it won't remember it. But yeah, that's pretty much it on this software. Really basic to use. Yeah, just be good if they could implement the syncing options and maybe a few different light patterns as well. Alrighty guys, now that's pretty much it for this video. I just want to do a quick run through on the relatively new Premium Riing fans. Now, when it comes down to price point, these ones will retail for $99 at your major computer stores. So that's $15 more than the original non-premium ones. Now you have to consider, is the $15 extra worth having the complete USB control? You don't need to always open your PC to change the color or the fan speed. Now to me, I think that is a definite yes, because the last thing you want to be doing is having to open your case all the time to adjust the fans and whatnot. And you also get the extra feature of it'll detect if the fan goes down. You can change the speed on the fly, all the colors, things like that. And the software is only going to get better because Thermaltake, I think they've already released a few versions already, and they can add things like, as I said earlier, the lighting features and the sync option like that. Whereas with these ones, with the physical controller, there's no really upgrading to be done. What you buy is what you get. But yeah, pretty impressed with that. And I will be doing a build coming up. I'll have 2 sets of these. So I have 6 fans coming up in a special build. I'll be announcing that soon. So I'll see how those go and see how they perform. But yeah, I want to thank Thermaltake for sending these out to check out. And thanks to you guys for watching, and stay tuned for next time.